With Russell Westbrook's highly underperforming season and LeBron in his late 30s, any fan would think that Anthony Davis is the piece that can't be moved. Sadly, the way it all works, you simply can't rule out a trade for any player, but it's not all rosy for AD either. He's highly injury-prone, and the Lakers could be interested in moving him to the New York Knicks. First up, Anthony Davis to the Knicks. Take this news with a pinch of salt. We also doubt there are any legs to such a rumor, but the trade season is known as the silly season for this very reason. You get to read about all sorts of bizarre rumors, and every now and then, one of them actually turns out to be true. That's the case with AD going to the Knicks. More than a rumor, it's rather an ambitious opinion of analysts that are getting fancy with the options at the Lakers' disposal. Either way though, if this deal is set to happen, we only see two possibilities. But before we dive into that, let's take a look at what it would mean for AD to move to the New York Knicks. Why would AD move to the Knicks? The Knicks receive Anthony Davis, someone they'd absolutely adore. Rich Paul, AD's agent, has talked about taking his client back to New York, which shows a possible deal can't be ruled out. They know that AD has struggled with injuries, and he seems set to have one of those what-if careers. Thankfully, he's still got a ring to celebrate whenever he decides to leave it all behind, but that won't be anytime soon. AD is only 29, and he can still play at the top level for at least 4 to 5 more years. Plus, a move back to New York is more viable for a player like him because the pressure of every game being a must-win for the Lakers can be tough to handle. He'll find his time at the Knicks more relaxed, and maybe that could be the perfect way to deal with someone so injury-prone. Who knows? A change of scenery could result in a change of luck for AD, and he could actually have that one season without an injury. The management at the Lakers would probably hate to see that happen because if AD can get one full injury-free season at the LA franchise with LeBron, they probably make the finals at the very minimum. Possibility number 1, LA Lakers receive Julius Randle, Derrick Rose. New York Knicks receive Anthony Davis. So this one is the major, obvious, and straightforward trade possibility, and we can't lie, it's so simple it actually just makes sense. For the Knicks should be all over this one. They haven't had a star on their side since Carmelo Anthony left, and it wouldn't be wrong to say that they're completely starved. AD wouldn't only provide their side a huge boost in terms of star power, but he's actually just a phenomenal player. Despite his troubles with injuries, he comes into the side and puts in a superb display like always. Plus, as we mentioned before, one injury-free season for AD, and who knows, the Knicks could potentially overachieve in the coming season. He's been plagued with injuries for 2 years. Maybe he gets lucky a third time. We aren't saying he's a sure shot at success, but then again, who is? It would be a superb move for the Knicks, and Rich Paul should be on their speed dial. Not to mention that Julius Randle hasn't exactly turned out like the Knicks were hoping he would. Only in 2 seasons, we've seen both the extremes of the power forward. From being hailed as their next potential star to having an extremely poor season, it could be the right move to trade him while there are still doubts over what he can do and what he can't. For the Lakers, if we do accept this trade from the Lakers' perspective, it isn't exactly a bad deal. Yes, AD was instrumental in winning them the championship, but do they really want to take a punt on him for another season? What if he stays injured again? With this trade, they'll be getting Julius Randle and Derrick Rose. Yes, Randle didn't enjoy his best season, but the potential is still there for everyone to see. Plus, his shooting from distance is a huge upgrade on AD, and that's after an underwhelming season. If he somehow gets it back closer to his 41.1% from the 2021 season, the Lakers would be right up there. And how can we possibly forget Derrick Rose? This man holds the key for a potential trade to happen, simply because of the possibilities and the flexibility he offers to the Lakers. If he comes in, he could play as an alternative to Westbrook. And if in case Westbrook is moved on, then Rose could make for the perfect replacement as well. It just makes too much sense to not happen. Now for possibility number 2. Charlotte Hornets receive Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks. LA Lakers receive Gordon Hayward, Derrick Rose, 2023 first-round pick. New York Knicks receive Anthony Davis. This one is slightly complicated, but it's more realistic. That's because Julius Randle and Derrick Rose for the cost of Anthony Davis might be putting the Knicks in a tougher position. So how would this one play out? For the Knicks, how about adding Anthony Davis to a side that already has Julius Randle? The Knicks would bite your hand off for that potential. They would still still be trading Derrick Rose to the Lakers, and they'd lose the likes of Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks, but AD would more than make up for that loss. The Knicks get their star player, they manage to keep a hold of Randall, and get a veteran out of the side. Burks isn't bad, but it's obvious that the Knicks are looking for wholesale changes this summer, and there's no point keeping players when you've got potential trades that improve the side dramatically. For the Hornets, this could work out dramatically well for the Hornets as well. If this trade takes place, we could see them getting rid of Gordon Hayward, who remains on an expensive contract, and a possible move for him should free up funds. It wouldn't be a terrible loss because they'll be adding the likes of Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks, two very decent players, especially for a side like the Hornets. These savings from getting Hayward off could be crucial for the Hornets. Miles Bridges will be hitting the restricted free agency, and LaMelo Ball is soon due an extension too. For the Lakers, despite losing AD in this deal, the Lakers will be the biggest winners if this trade was to go through. Randall and Rose would have made for very good additions, but Hayward Rose is probably a safer and better bet. That's because both of them can come in and have a serious impact and provide the Lakers with what they need: success in the present rather than in the future. It would also allow the Lakers to trade Westbrook separately. That would mean they can land an impact player by trading him as well, and we could be looking at some serious depth for a new-look Lakers ahead of the upcoming season. And now in other news, Darvin Ham confirmed as Lakers coach. From Magic Johnson to Nick Nurse, the Lakers' search for a head coach was attracting all sorts of names. That's why it was surprising when they announced Darvin Ham as their new coach. He knows the franchise after all. He was the assistant coach for the Lakers for 2 years only a decade ago. After serving as the assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks for almost 4 years, this move is definitely surprising. However, he has been backed for success by those associated with the franchise, and he's got the backing of LeBron James as well. It will be interesting to see what he brings to the Lakers and whether they stand a chance of winning a championship under him. Next, Celtics reach NBA Finals, first in 12 years. Jimmy Butler had put in a magnificent performance as he lined up to shoot with seconds left on the clock. Some would argue he shouldn't have taken the shot. Others would say he earned the right to do so. At the end of the day, it matters very little because he missed. The Celtics won, and they're off the NBA Finals for the first time in 12 years. It was a magnificent performance from the Celtics, who managed to do just enough thanks to their trio turning up when they needed them. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart came up with the goods, while Al Horford's contributions shouldn't be forgotten either. A magical night for the Celtics in Miami as they set up a date in the NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. And the Lakers, the most disappointing team in NBA history? We're not the ones saying it. It's according to a recent study that has determined the Lakers 21-22 to be the most disappointing team in NBA history. To be fair, only the very biased Lakers fans would argue that they don't belong in the conversation. Some other teams over the years definitely challenged them for this honor, like the 2021 Celtics, the 15-16 Bulls, or even the 11-12 Mavericks, but the Lakers just about edged the rest. That's a wrap for this video. Who do you think the Lakers should trade? AD or Russ? Or both? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.